open up the year. We're now joined by Ben Carlisle. He covers La Tech, and he joins us on 365 Sports. Ben, thank you very much for your time with Paul and Craig, David Smoke. So what's the week been like? The move, I know it's next year, but, La Tech, a chance to go back to where they once were. Sonny Cumbie, what's been the week like that when it comes to La Tech?
Yeah, first off, I want to thank you guys for having me on. It's always good to hear from you, Smokey, but it's been a crazy week. I think, for the most part, we've been hearing about this move to the Sun Belt for Louisiana Tech. I guess the rumors really cranked up following Texas State's departure to the Pac-12 a few weeks ago. And, you see some of those national guys, Pete Thamel, Brett McMurphy, some of those types start putting out the rumors about Louisiana Tech. And I think for the most part, Tech fans were a little hesitant to get their hopes up. I think everybody was on board with the fact of needing to get out of Conference USA to a more regionalized league, but felt like they got burned a few years ago at the AAC when they thought they might get in. But nonetheless, it came to fruition. The press conference made it officially official today, and I think Louisiana Tech fans are very happy with where they're at now.
What changed over the years in that the Sun Belt was able to romance them back, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think, you talk to Tech fans, and I guess the administration as well. When you look at Conference USA, the league that they entered back in 2013, it's drastically different here in 2025. There's not much of a regional vibe to it. You got New Mexico State way out in Las Cruces. You've added Delaware for the upcoming season. And, of course, you got FIU down in Miami. So it's just so spread out. And I think over the years, as the conference has deteriorated to a point, it's been tough for the administration, for, the teams on campus to really, I think, excite a fan base, outside of, you win 40-plus games in baseball and host a regional like you did in 2021. I think, obviously, everybody's going to be happy and excited. But just that general fan, it's been hard to attract over the years. And so from a Sun Belt perspective, you look at some of the success that they've had over the years, whether it be football, I guess mainly football. They're right up there with the AAC and the Mountain West now in terms of G5 conferences, and I think that appealed to Louisiana Tech fans. I think the administration, with President Dr. Jim Henderson and Ryan Ivey, they wanted to get back some of these local regional rivalries. When you talk about UL Monroe and Southern Miss and ULL, and I think the early returns are that the fans are extremely excited about that.
So, Ben, I was just talking about the Mountain West and how some teams departing will make for some interesting bad blood for this year. And it was the same way when you had all these teams leaving 2 years ago, their respective conferences, and made the Big 12 more interesting, made the Pac more interesting. There is no love lost for Louisiana Tech from Sun Belt fans that I can see, man. So it feels like they're walking into a viper's nest almost based on the reaction. So is it safe to say that there's going to be some bad blood and that might make things a little spicier and more interesting for La Tech?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. I think today President Jim Henderson pointed out in the press conference, he's like, I think some of the hate's good. I think that's, in a sense, that's what made college athletics so special to begin with. So, like you said, there's no love lost. I think a lot of that is due to some of Tech's own undoing from some past comments that were made about the Sun Belt. And the thing I always tell people is, 25 years ago, the Sun Belt might not have been the best choice for Louisiana Tech. 15 years ago, it might not have been. But I think in this day and time, with the landscape looking the way that it is, especially from a G5 perspective where it's very difficult to compete in that NIL game, I think getting back to those regional rivalries is how you're going to pique the interest of fans. And the thing that I hope, and I played baseball at Louisiana Tech back in the early 2010s, I hope that with all the transfer portal, with all the NIL stuff, I hope that some of these student athletes can realize what some of these rivalries mean, because I think that's really what can help them revive themselves, not just purely from a fan base perspective.
Well, La Tech has a nice history, and Sonny Cumbie being there gives them some nice credibility too. What are the thoughts? How does he look at this? And now, obviously, they got to play this year before they worry about entering a conference. Take care of this year. What has he accomplished, and where is he as far as expectations?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think you look at his first 3 years in Ruston. You go 3-9 in 22, 3-9 in 23, and you go 5-8 last year, and you got a chance to play in a bowl game as that 1-5-7 school, playing in the Independence Bowl last year. I think coming into year 4, I think the big thing for Cumbie and his staff is at a minimum you probably need to win 6 games, and I think they believe that they have the roster to do so. Like I said, though, it's so difficult from a G5 perspective to keep your own players. It's hard to retain your own guys. I mean, I'm sure you guys see that down there in Waco with Baylor at times. It's just hard to do, but they got to find a way to do that. And like I said, I think at a minimum they got to find a way to get to a bowl game. And if you win 7, 8, 9 games, I think that's some icing on the cake. They got a returning starting quarterback in Evan Bullock. They were really good defensively a year ago. I think if you can get that offense going at a high level, that would certainly excite some fans as well.
Do you think that this Sun Belt move can help them be a playoff team or be in the top 12 or 16? Does that give them more juice at the end of it if it came down to it?
I mean, I think it could. I mean, I think when you look at where you're at right now in Conference USA, I don't think there's any doubt that the Conference USA is the lowest rated G5 in the country. So, you look at this year's schedule. You go down to LSU. Like, if you wanted to play in a playoff or have a chance to play in a playoff, you got to win that game. Now, how realistic is that? It's probably not that realistic. Now, your other money game this year is at Washington State. I think that's a winnable game on the road. You're not going to be favored to win, obviously, but I think the move to the Sun Belt, you had some really quality programs in there. I think Southern Miss has some optimism with Charles Huff coming in. ULL's won 10 games, I believe, 2 or 3 times since 2020. Coastal Carolina's been a pretty good program, James Madison. So I think it helps you in that sense, but I don't know. I think right now Louisiana Tech, from a big picture perspective, is they want to get back to where they were under Skip Holtz from 2014 to 2020. Let's go to a bowl game every year. Let's be in the conversation for a conference championship. And if we get over into that special type of year where we've won 11 or 12 games, we'll talk about that when we get there.
Ben, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I know the announcement said no later than 2027. Is there any chance it's 2026, or are they going to need that buffer year to move into 2027?
I would think the likelihood that it will be next summer, July 1st of 26. I think the reasoning for the way that it was worded was, so the Conference USA cutoff was May the 1st if you were going to leave the league. And obviously the official announcement wasn't made till July the 14th. So they're a couple months behind. They're negotiating right now, and I would imagine they figured this thing out a few years ago when Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss left the following year. There was some litigation involved there, so there's some precedent set that I would imagine they can come to terms and let Louisiana Tech out a year early.
Ben, they've got a proud history. Terry Bradshaw, Joe Ferguson, I mean, in other sports too, with Karl Malone, Fred Dean, Willie Rofe. I mean, they've got a history, and they're trying to find a way to find their niche. They're going to have to pay the $5 million. How are they financially? Is that going to be an issue for them, and also with revenue sharing?
Yeah, I think I'm not going to say it's not going to be an issue, but from the folks that I've talked to internally, they don't view it as a huge hurdle that they have to get over. Your revenue is going to go up from a TV revenue standpoint, going from Conference USA to the Sun Belt. They believe that they're going to save at a minimum $1.5 million a year on travel. You look at the West Division of the Sun Belt, they're not going to have to hop on a plane for that side of the conference when it comes to conference games. You look at this year in Conference USA, 5 of their 6 road games are going to be plane flights. So they're going to save a lot of money there from a football perspective. They're trying to get involved in the revenue sharing game. We'll see how involved they really get. I think right now they're kind of prioritizing the 2 diamond sports when it comes to baseball and softball, just knowing how successful they've been on that front. But I think they can compete in this league, but there's no doubt. Like I said earlier, I think the step up from Conference USA to the Sun Belt is nothing. You can't just throw it by the wayside. It's clearly a step up, and they're going to have to invest more and more to keep competing.
The football talent in Louisiana over the last 25 years has increased. I mean, South Louisiana, we always knew was that's a hotbed. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, those areas. But as you go up, there's better and better high school talent. Will that help them as well now that they're in the Sun Belt, that they can maybe get a couple of those guys?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, in theory, I think it does. I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is you got to win. And I think back in the Skip Holtz days, the more they won, some of the better recruits that they were able to get. I think an interesting part of the move is, much of the Sun Belt's made up of schools in the South, Southeast, whereas Tech is predominantly, and you guys know this, I mean, they recruit the state of Texas really hard. I think it's going to need to be a priority to play some non-conference games over there in the state of Texas, just so that you remain a priority to those high school kids. And I think, like a lot of programs as well, you're going to still use the transfer portal a substantial amount. I think, I think when it originally started, we were all excited about the transfer portal. I wonder, just how sustainable that model is from a G5 perspective, knowing that you're going to lose your best players, then you're going to try to replace them with guys from Power 4 programs that haven't played a lot, or from FCS programs that you don't know how they're going to acclimate themselves. But I think the recruiting piece of it's going to be interesting. I think all the coaches on campus are going to have to figure out the best way for them to navigate it.
Well, it's interesting. La Tech going to the Sun Belt, and Sonny Cumbie, those 3 years, those records, Ben. I know that area well enough, man. They think they should be better, and will be interesting what happens. Back when Maxie Lambright, remember him when he won like 36 games in 3 years and won a national title? They still want that at La Tech, don't they?
Yes, so they sure do. There's no shortage of expectations, regardless of what the climate is these days.
Thank you very much, Ben. Appreciate your time. Ben Carlisle.